What is happening, AJ Game Dude here, and for someone like myself who primarily plays on PlayStation, I would be remiss not to talk about the changes that are being made to PlayStation leadership, because I feel like with every new leader or boss of PlayStation, usually there is some change in the way everything works, the culture around certain eras of PlayStation, like the PS3 era with Kaz Hirai and he was quite open to a lot of different types of games coming out, to Sean Layden, to now Jim Ryan, interesting groups of individuals, each having their own leadership style that has led PlayStation in different directions, and you can clearly feel the difference between each of them if you've been in the ecosystem long enough. Now, with that being said, Jim Ryan is gone. Yay. I think quite possibly Jim Ryan was the worst CEO of PlayStation, especially since it was around that time that he became the leader of PlayStation that they moved the head office of PlayStation to the Bay Area in San Francisco, or San Francisco in America, rather than leaving it in Japan, which I feel like is kind of where it should have stayed, but I digress. He is now being headed up, rather than by a single CEO, we're going to have two CEOs. We've got Hideaki Nishino and Herman Holst. Now, Herman Holst was already head of the PlayStation first party studios. He was head of PlayStation Studios. So he is now moving into this two CEO structure by him handling the software and first party output as well as first party studios and those sorts of responsibilities, whereas Hideaki Nishino, he is going to be looking at the hardware, the PlayStation Network, the service as a whole. So he is more on the business side in that sense. And so it's kind of interesting to see where things are heading, and already people are happy about Nishino being there, because he apparently is very sort of, open to collaboration and bringing more games onto the platform. And so with him sort of being there, as well as Herman Holtz, I feel like the more different these two CEOs are going to be, it's not going to create friction necessarily, but I feel like that they may be able to work well together. But again, the last time we did see two CEOs take over a single company, it was with Blizzard, and let me tell you, that was a god-awful idea, because we had Mike Ybarra, a guy who was a CEO, and I forgot the lady's name, but apparently she was getting paid less. Then she left a few months after being made one of the two CEOs of Blizzard, and then ultimately leaving Mike Ybarra there by himself, which ultimately he did end up leaving, not maybe a few years later, years later at that point. And then whenever he says anything, it's never something that is appreciated by the wider gaming community. Even now, the tipping comment, for example, which I'm surprised how many people watched my video of that. I got 1,000 views out of it for a channel like mine, which only had 140 subs at the time. So thank you very much for watching that video. Just wanted to say that for sure. But yes, I am interested to see how this duo is going to move forward. What does the first party output look like? How is the changing landscape of the video game industry currently in this sort of very much firing mindset? This whole cutting down costs as the costs continue to, balloon into unimaginably higher figures as time goes on, but also the length and period of time in which development continues to be pushed forward, because obviously the longer the development, the more money you have to put into the project in order to finally be able to even reach that end goal. And with the movement of indies up in the ranks, as more people are playing more indie games than ever rather than any other type of game. I mean, I'm personally looking forward to an indie game called Indica that's going to be coming out in the next couple of days as of me recording this. And it kind of, oh man, the trailer looks absolutely nuts. Apparently it's a story-based game where you play as a nun, and that's all I know about it. So a fascinating idea, very much interested. Let's see where it goes. But I do also want to hear from especially people who play on PlayStation and have been around for, say, the Kaz Hirai days back in the PS3, to Sean Layden here on the PS4, and also now seeing Jim Ryan. I would be very interested to actually know what you guys think about this whole situation, because at the moment it takes time for things to change, especially if you have a change of leadership. Are we going to expect to see more studios lose their jobs? Are we going to see studios do smaller projects that aren't necessarily going to be lower budget? Because there has been news going around that, say, for something like what's it called, Hi-Fi Rush. Yes, Hi-Fi Rush was actually not a small budget title, but rather it was actually it was about as expensive as you'd expect it to be, and it did take a decent amount of time as well. So the development wasn't as short as people make it out to be, with the rest of us kind of talking in the sort of rumor mill-esque way, because we've not been in the development process, so we don't know how long it took, especially within the walls of Tango. So it still seems like the game was still too expensive for its own good, or for what it was trying to be. So I don't think that smaller games by big studios are actually going to make that big of a difference, when it's the indies that are going to be really managing that money a hell of a lot better than anyone else ever could. But it's just an interesting thought to have, and I thought that I would kind of bring that in. But with all, and give myself an excuse to actually talk about Hi-Fi Rush as much as humanly possible, because I want more people to play that game, understand that this is a great game, and then realize, oh, we will never get something like this ever again. At least not for the foreseeable future. That much is certain. Though, with all of that being said and done, let me know what you guys think about the situation of the two dual CEOs. You can compare it to stuff like what happened with the two Blizzard CEOs, where everything just kind of fell apart like a house of cards, as well as your thoughts on the different eras of PlayStation that we've had with each of the different CEOs, as well as what do you think is going to happen for this particular one. At the moment, all I can say for certain is that I have seen some level of positivity with Hideaki Nishino. Herman Hulst, I'm still a little bit skeptical about, especially what happened with Jim Ryan and the fact that he was kind of one of the worst that we've had up until now. So it'll be interesting to see how things go on moving forward with the ever-changing gaming landscape. Though, with all that being said and done, please comment below, like the video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel. I'm aiming for 200 subs by the end of the year, and with all that said and done, I do upload every day, so I'll see you guys tomorrow.